Alright guys, Oda just dropped a whole bunch of new spicy information that we didn't really know about before in the latest One Piece volume SBS. So in case you're unfamiliar with what the SBS is, or you never really knew what it stood for, it means Shitsuma no Bushu Suru, or I'm taking questions. It's a special column featured in most of the One Piece volumes, and it's generally formatted as a straightforward question and answer column with Oda replying to fan letters. And I mean a wide variety. There's a lot of nonsense that goes on in these SBSs sometimes, and I'm gonna skip through a lot of the stuff because I only really want to talk about the interesting things. But anyway, this is coming from the latest SBS from volume 107. In chapter 1076, Lucky Ruse said, "Yahahaha, you're one to talk, Beck. Who do you think he's mad at? So, does this mean that it was Beckman who took out Kid's arm?" And Oda said, "Yes, it seems like it. This is the pirate world, where only the strong ones remain." So I guess that confirms that Beckman was the one who removed Kid's arm. And, yeah, that's really plummeting Kid's stock even lower than it already is. It is at an all-time low right now. I mean, he's straight up meme status in the community at this point. And before I go further, let me just say, I'm not against Kid. You can go back to my coverage of when he was taking on Big Mom with Law. I was very supportive of Kid. I'm not necessarily like a big fan of him, but I'm not a fan, if that makes sense. I was even vouching for him to be a straight up Yonko after defeating Big Mom. However, he is in a very rough patch at this point, and I do think he's, going to regain his stock. He'll come back, do something of significance. He might even, I don't know, do something to the red-haired pirates, since he's taken such massive L's from them. Because we thought at first maybe Shanks took off his arm, because why not? His arm got removed. It seemed like it was a sword or something, but no, it just got shot off by Beckman. And at this point, Beckman is probably just as strong, if not stronger, than like an admiral. Oh man, that's probably super controversial to say, but it really seems that way, right? Because Shanks seems to be stronger than Kaido at this point, and considering how power creep works, Beckman has to be stronger than any other commander or lesser or equal that we've seen before this. And I also think he probably has like sea stone bullets that he also coats with hockey, right? He has like the ultimate combo. So Oda was asked, what is the name of Bonnie's devil fruit? I know many similar questions have been sent to you, but please tell us. And Oda said, yes, I've been asked many times. I noticed and thought to myself, I haven't revealed it yet. It's the Toshi no Mi, age fruit, which makes the user become an age-altering human. And for the sake of those who don't read the SBS, I need to mention this in the main story too. Yeah, go figure, Oda. For those who don't read the SBS, which is like, what, 99 point whatever % of your audience? Yeah, I know, sometimes we hardcores can forget that the majority of a fandom is actually just like casuals and people who just every now and then kind of follow the story somewhat. And I also think it's funny that he's like, oh, I haven't revealed it yet? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. We kind of figured what her ability and fruit was, just from the contextual clues, of course. But sometimes we give Oda a little too much credit. I'm not saying he's not a genius, because he absolutely is a writing and creative genius, if there ever was one. But that doesn't mean that he's like perfect. Sometimes when we think that Oda is like cooking up something masterful and he's gonna like let it rip at the last crucial, specific, prime moment, when actually he just forgot. That's actually probably happened so much with so many things that we've been wondering about. Not just in One Piece, but like in most battle manga series going on right now. When Luffy met Bonnie, he called her Boggy, but he quickly changed it to Bonnie. Is there any particular reason for this? Oda said, indeed, it was changed. But before that, when Luffy heard that Bonnie's father had been turned into a cyborg, he got excited and said, that's cool! He regretted that and called her Boggy, but was immediately corrected, which made even Luffy feel awkward. So he will never make that mistake again. So I like this, because it gives us some insight into Luffy's inner monologue, which we never really hear, or really know what Luffy is thinking. I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks this, but Luffy comes across as very neurodivergent. Maybe that's intentional, maybe not. But it's hard to really read Luffy sometimes, and if he is being genuine or if he is just not even aware of what he's doing. Like with the whole calling people by the wrong name. Now, obviously, there's a trend of him calling people that are less than reputable a different name, kind of like his own way of like bullying them, I guess. But we do see that Luffy does have some kind of moral compass when it comes to this type of stuff. Hello, Oda-san. When Luffy was talking about the end of his dream, Caribou was nearby inside a barrel. Does this mean that Caribou also heard the end of Luffy's dream? Oda said, so a lot of people were bothered by this, but please look at the previous page before that. It was said in a loud voice, but it was barely audible and didn't reach inside the barrel, so it's okay. It was only the Straw Hat crew who heard the end of Luffy's dream. I both like this and feel bad for Oda because it's like, you could almost kind of feel like his frustration in here. It's like, no, just stop. I didn't want that to be like that. Yes, I know that I drew Caribou in the barrel, but he didn't hear it, okay? He didn't hear Luffy's dream, so just let it go, okay? Only the Straw Hats heard it. It's like, wow, how many times would Oda have to do this? Like, if everybody or most people were able to, like, ask him specific questions about the series, especially, like, the real hardcore pedantic ones out there, like, Oda would just have a meltdown, having to, like, forcefully correct these people's headcanons that they've convinced themselves of. And I'm not even saying in this particular instance with the Caribou in the barrel thing, it's not really that big of a deal. To be honest, Caribou probably did hear it, and Oda just had to course correct here. Hello, Oda-sensei. If the former and present 3 admirals of the Marines, referring to Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru, were in the real world, what kind of profession would they have? Oda said, I think all 5 of them, Oda included Ryokuyu and Fujitora, would be radio presenters. All Night Nippon of the 3 admirals. For those who don't know, go and research it. Okay, so a quick Google search will tell you that All Night Nippon, also known as All Night NANN, is a Japanese radio program broadcast by Nippon Broadcasting System and other radio stations from 1 to 5 a.m. Saying broadcasting a lot is kind of difficult. Maybe it's my East Coast accent. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, right? They'd be radio presenters. Although Oda comes from a different time than most of us, so I guess you could equate them to podcasters by today's standards. No, I'm not saying that there aren't radio presenters, quote unquote, anymore, but you know what I mean. It's like a antiquated type of thing almost at this point. When Brook saw Zoro sleeping with Toko and Hiyori, what was the thing that came out of Brook's eye hole? This reminds me of Rick and Morty. Oda says, I see. Something indeed came out in replacement for the eye. Since it's black, could it be coffee? Or is it a black cat? I will say it's a black cat. I don't know what Oda's talking about here. I'm sure he thinks that this is like hilarious or something. Maybe in Japanese it is funny, I don't know. In the past, Kobe's goal was to become a commissioned officer of the Marines. But now he wants to be an admiral. Would his rank still rise even if he's now a sword member? Whose resignation documents are already formally submitted. Oda said yes. Was the explanation about sword a bit complicated? In chapter 1080, Aokiji said formal submission of documents. They can be disavowed anytime. This means they entrusted their resignation, but they are not fired / cut loose / disavowed yet. In the case of a Marine soldier getting caught and becoming a hostage, the Marines will acknowledge their resignation there and say, that guy is not a Marine soldier, and forsake them. The ones who are fine with this process, so they can fight as they please, are the Marine soldiers called Sword. Did he do this on purpose? Because I don't really think this explained anything, and it just made it more complicated than it needed to be. He didn't really answer the question, but I guess they can become an admiral. I mean, Kobe for sure is going to be an admiral by the end of the story. There's no chance that that's not happening. So I guess it means yes. Hello, Odachi. This is like a pet name that the readers call Oda sometimes. I think everyone didn't notice, but I am an adult. So it dawned on me. The sword member Hibari-chan is head over heels for Kobe, right? Right? And Oda said, head over heels? That term is so old. 35 years old. Kurobushitaro. Pen name of the question center. Head over heels means being in love, right? I'm quite dense, so I can't really tell. So yeah, Oda obviously messing around here. And clearly, Hibari is into Kobe. Like, this is Kobe's love interest. And I really hope that Hibari is Aka Inu's daughter, because that would be some 10 out of 10 writing right there. Because that's like the perfect revenge for Kobe to take on Aka Inu, right? Like, if Kobe beat down Aka Inu at the end of the story, that wouldn't do it justice. He would have to take his daughter, or his daughter take Kobe. However you see it. And then, man, I hope Oda does this. All right, so these next couple questions are like something that you would read in my comment section maybe. And it's a bunch of these thirsty dudes asking about Kujaku, you know, one of the members of Sword, who I think is Suru's granddaughter, right? And she has like some kind of whip devil fruit or something. And Oda just winds up saying, "Are you all idiots?" And he just kind of gets annoyed and he's like, "Go away, perverts." But it's like, Oda, you summon them. And also, don't act like all of these characters are just not Nami with different hair. Like, you have a specific type of woman that you keep drawing, and you're selling this specific type of aesthetic to not just adults, but straight up children as well. And you've been doing it for the last 26 years, so you're not innocent, Oda. You can call us idiots, but don't you dare call us perverts. Oh, and this next question is ever so apropos. I see that you have researched in drawing characters' butts, but that was only for the female characters, right? But how about drawing male characters' butts, huh? Oda said, "I'm being threatened to draw male characters' butts?" So the SBS is this kind of quarter. No, it's not! Could it be that the name of the vice commander of the North Army of the Revolutionary Army, Jiron, came from Jiron Amos, the main character of Combat Mecha Abungul? Zabungul? Is that an X? What? How do you know Jiron? Are you an old man? I think that was also an anime from about 40 years ago. I remember his face being round, so I tried drawing him that way. I also remember singing the theme song when I was a kid. It was awesome. So this is more confirmation that if you're thinking, did Oda get inspired by this other character that I'm thinking of? The answer is probably yes. Actually, if you're thinking if Oda was like inspired by literally anything and he included into the story, the answer is also probably yes. I don't think anything in One Piece was born in a vacuum at this point. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments, and if you liked it, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.